I think Clotilde is right on the right topic, and also how she described the question is very is a very good approach, because we all know that cities are part of the problem. Cities are causing and several problems for the sustainable future, and also cities are part of the crisis. But yet, cities are also the solution. Cities must find solutions, and cities can solve very many sustainability challenges. So cities have to change, becoming something that has been a problem to be the solution. And cities are key to solve our sustainability challenges, climate change, different questions with the nature, all kind of issues about how we find a sustainable urban lifestyle. So this is a crucial question, but I'm positive. Cities are very flexible, and cities are very capable of doing the change. And many cities, including my city in Lahti in southern Finland, have already done a lot and received great results. So cities must be more sustainable. They are on that track, and also cities are the solution. Cities also must be very smart. So we have discussed about smart cities. My message is that yes, if you are not sustainable, you are not smart. But in order to become sustainable, you have to be very smart. So I'm positive. Cities will be sustainable, and cities are already finding very good and creative solutions how they can build a sustainable urban future.
I think, Clotilde, that you are right, that cities can be sustainable. And I think we need to think about how they can be sustainable, because we are a lot of people on the earth, and we need to accommodate people on the earth, and that's much more efficient if we can group us together in cities. We can build more dense, so we don't take up too much space as human beings. And when we build more dense, we don't have to travel as much. So if we can build cities where everything is within walking and biking distance, so you can go to the shops, you can go to school, you can go to work without having to transport yourself in cars and other ways that are polluting, then cities can be sustainable. But it's not all cities that are sustainable, so it depends how we are building the cities. I think you're right, Daniela, that green in the sense of more trees in the cities are important. They are important, as you say, because they can help have a nice climate in the city, but I think they are nice as well because human beings need to have nature. We need to have the living trees around us. So if our cities are only built in concrete, we will lose our connection with nature, and we need to have that, and we also need to have it within the city, so we don't have to travel far away to get into the forest. So we need the cities in the cities as well.
Daniela is right. We already have a lot of scientific proof that the having the right kind of vegetation in the cities has lots of positive impacts. You can, especially in the climates where there is a lot of sun and heat, trees bring a more acceptable climate. They give shadow and all kind of positive results. But also we can use vegetation to handle the how the rainwater is managed in the cities, how we fight against erosion in different cities. And then also we have to notice that it's been already scientifically proven that we feel better if we see green in cities. So it's not only about the climate and technical issues, it's also about well-being of us as urban residents and citizens. So it's a positive and good idea in many different ways. Cities are already adopting that approach, actually. As a matter of fact, green roofs are getting more and more familiar in different parts of Europe. Different ways of adding real green on the urban structure are moving ahead. But yet, in the same time, I also must say that it's not actually about the new buildings and new stuff. Most of the infrastructure in cities has already been built. So we have to make a deeper systemic change on how cities function. And then it's about energy, it's about traffic, it's about human behavior in the cities. And there comes the solution for the sustainable cities. So I'm sometimes a bit critical about the pictures, what we see about the sustainable cities, because there you can see a fancy architecture, fast moving, strange looking trains, stuff like that. Partly true, but the truth is that we have to change the cities as they are today. The future's sustainable city of the future probably looks like very much like the city of today. So yes, I like those buildings, but as a matter of fact, it's deeper than the surface.
I think every way we can bring the green into the city is a nice thought. I think when we talk about sustainable cities, this is not the only approach to take. I think we always need to also include the energy consumption, the transport, all these things that are really important part of living sustainable. But human beings need the greens, so we also need to have that close to us, and bringing it into the cities is a nice way of doing it, and it is shown several places that it can be done in good ways. I think cities should be built for bikes and for walking, and I think a lot more cities could be built for that. I think most cities could be built for that. It's not only a question of having bike lanes in the city, it's also a question about building the city so you have all the things you need close by, so you don't have to drive very far, because going on bikes is not going very far away. It's also about having a good public transportation system. Cars are not a good way to have mobility in cities. We need to rethink it, and bikes has a really important part in that. But I think it's not only a question about building the infrastructure for bikes, because we also need to learn to use the bikes. So it's not about, I mean, Netherlands and Denmark, where I come from, we have a culture of biking. So I think that's something that you need to consider as well. How do you develop this culture of biking? Partly by building the infrastructure, but also by learning the children how to bike and learning all the adults as well.
We all admire the biking culture in Netherlands and in Denmark. And it's very important actually that we learn from each other. The need for rapid sustainability change is so big that we cannot only discover ourselves. It's a very good method to learn from each other, to see something that is functioning and think about whether we can do this in our own city. Biking is going up everywhere in Europe, and that's a very positive thing. But at the same time, we must understand that cities are different. I come from Lahti in Finland, and yesterday evening it snowed 20 centimeters. It's not the best environment for biking if you have a lot of snow. But even here, we have found ways to keep the biking tracks open and keep the winter biking also alive. Some cities are also very mountainous, so there's a lot of hills and mountains, and that makes it a bit more difficult. But there we also have a solution. Many cities, like my city here in Finland, we have electric bikes as an urban biking system. So electric bike is a good system because you can use it in a more difficult terrain, and you can also use in cities where the biking system cannot be built as easily as in Denmark or in the Netherlands. But overall, biking is getting bigger and bigger every day. And I also must add that biking has a very positive impact also for the biker. You are getting a better health when you are cycling. So that is an additional positive value, and you get the sustainability benefits too. I think it's very important that the sustainable city must be a better city. Not only that it's in when we calculate the numbers, we understand it's more sustainable, but for us citizens, it must feel that we are creating and doing a better city. This is actually a very difficult question, because we know that when it comes to climate change and sustainability, we know that we have to act fast. So we have to do decisions, we have to implement them, we have to change our cities, and that was we have to do fast. Doing that slowly is not a good idea. But overall well-being and our making our cities better, understanding that we have to give opportunities for slower life is a good idea. Also, in my personal opinion, is that we also have to find ways to give more time to the community, our neighbors, our friends, our network of people, because that is a positive, slower lifestyle that we give time to build a better community, because we all know that we feel better when we have a positive supporting community around us, and that also needs time. So give time to your neighbor, give time to your friends, give time for doing something which is not directly linked to your job or your study. It's always a good idea.
I think slow could be part of it. I think the most important for me is that we have lower levels of consumption of all the things. I mean, of course, we need to eat food, but we need to eat less resource intensive food. So we need to have less of everything. And I think that to have that in a nice way is maybe also about slowing down and enjoying life in other ways. So what is the good life? The good life, we should look for alternatives to the good life, which is not very resource intensive. And I think the question of slowing down is an interesting part of this discussion. And I think human beings in the Western world, we are stressed in a lot of ways. So finding other ways of where is the good life is also about taking our time. So slowing down, yes.